What's going on, people? It's Mr. back again with the review show. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, another fantastic result for Nottingham Forest away to Millwall yesterday. And I'm still excited. Aren't we, Des? We're still excited from yesterday, aren't we, Des?
Excited, recovering. Do you know, whichever way you want to look at it, just absolutely buzzing. What a result! What a time to score as well.
But actually, me and Des went to the game, and if no one saw the vlog's out. It was out this morning, and yeah, it was just a fantastic day yesterday. Listen, before we get to the host, if you're new to our channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as well, comment below if you want to ask any questions to any of us. If you want to do super chats as well, you can. But yeah, but before we do start, I want to get know everyone. If no one knows Mr. Daly, do Daly. Des, how you doing, Des? Again.
I'm all right. Like I just said there, just about getting back on top of things for the rest of the week.
Des has lost his voice because he's been to West Ham and Leeds game, and he's got a bit of a. People don't give no sympathy to him. It's his fault. Don't give no sympathy to him. So,
believe me, one thing I learned from West Ham versus Leeds is I didn't need my voice. It's all Millwall Forest.
Next, we've got Mr. Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Hello. Very well, thank you. I'm not living the sort of prawn sandwich lifestyle of Mr. Daly there. Getting along with it and enjoying being alive in these great times we live in.
Yeah.
The reign of Steve Cooper.
Oh, bloody hell. Any more speech? Any more speech?
No, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
And last but not least, we've got a special guest all the way from Canada, Toronto. His name's Jordan. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Good, thanks. Yeah, long time watcher, first time guest. So glad to join everyone and discuss how everything's going at Forest.
Yeah, but like I said, people, if you want to ask any questions, everyone, put in the comments below and we'll do. I'm going to start with you, Jordan. Yesterday's game, unbelievable. Wasn't it? Unbelievable. What's your opinion on everything?
Yeah, it was quite something. I was watching your match vlog actually this morning, and Ian's prediction, he nailed it.
Wow! Right, Jordan. Before we do I couldn't believe it. I was on the coach, and someone behind me said, "Ben, there was a guy that said got the result bang on." What do you mean? So I've looked at my camera, looking back, and we can, shit, sorry my language, but he got it bang on. And Ian, if you're watching this, please message me. I know he said to me before this, I did the vlog, he watches it. So Ian, message me, please. DM me, Twitter, Facebook.
Didn't you say you have to have his name tattooed on your backside or something?
Amanda, he's got to get his Amanda tattoo as well.
I'm sure there's something. Are you picking out your designs?
No comment. I got a clue what everyone's talking about. That's something that we don't talk about.
It's happening.
Yeah, Matt's designing for him, mate.
It's happening.
I haven't got a clue what anyone's talking about. But Jordan, let's carry on, Jordan. What was your opinion about it yesterday, Jordan?
Yeah, it was. I think it was actually a massive game for us, really. Given the results we've had before, to get the 3 points is really important for us to kind of maintain the push we've got for this season. So, came at a perfect time. I was actually quite jealous. I used to live in London before I moved to Toronto, and the London Trickies must have had an insane night out yesterday. I know a few of them were out till about 4 a.m. Across the Borough Market area. But yeah, amazing game to watch. I think my fiance, she heard me cheering the goal and basically got kicked out of a gym class in the kerfuffle. So yeah, great way to start the Saturday. I think the benefit of being 5 hours behind here is I had about 5 hours extra to celebrate. So great way to start the weekend. And yeah, thought it was awesome to get the result. It started off dodgy and did well to cling on at half time, I think. But yeah, Steve Cooper's second half masterclass again.
He does it always, like he did it so many games as well. Matt, like I said, another fantastic performance again. Wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the same. You know, Jordan said it right. Really, it was the first 40 minutes were a bit hairy, scary sort of thing. You thought, what the hell's going on? Second to everything. Yeah, looked really ominous. We were kind of lucky not to be behind. They didn't have a lot of chances, but you know, a goal was coming, wasn't it? And then everything changed, and just incredibly entertaining game and pivotal, I think.
Des, like I said, me and Des went to the game yesterday, and it was like I said, the first half, like I said, it wasn't great, was it, Des? But second half was just amazing.
No, but I think if Rowett's done his own work, I think Millwall came out especially hard. I think they were trying to get in front. So I was saying it as the first half went on. They just weakened very quickly midway through the first half. And once they'd weakened and we'd withstanding the pressure, there was only one winner really. Yes, they did have a couple of gilt-edged chances, where they could have nicked it themselves. But in terms of possession and build-up and taking the game to the other side, second half, Forest were the only winners. But I think Cooper's sort of got this plan now to hold teams off, and I think other teams are getting used to it a little bit. But it doesn't matter because we're not conceding goals, and if we don't concede goals, we're giving ourselves every chance to score, even when we're not as clinical as we should be.
100%. Jordan, and we brought in Steve Cook from Bournemouth, and again, another fantastic performance. And watching him live, and the way he's talking to Worrell and McKenna, I think we've missed that. We've not had a proper leader. But since he's come in, he's been like, what can I say? He's just been fantastic, hasn't he, Jordan?
Yeah, like we saw it against Arsenal, where he seamlessly slotted in to the back five. And honestly, I think I love all the social media posts of the wall, because it really is becoming that way. Like I think you'd be hard pushed to find a better three centre backs than what we have, and good teams rely on having that defensive core to get up. All the best teams in the Championship have had good defences. It's very rare that we have teams going up winning 3-2 every week, 4-3 every week. We were really solid at the back. That got us 3 points yesterday. We could another day or few seasons ago, we'd have been down at half time, 2-0 down at half time with the balls that were coming in across the box. And I think it's helped kind of relieve the pressure on Worrell and McKenna a bit too. And we're seeing them flourishing to some extent as a result. So I think he's been such a great signing for us, where you mentioned it. He's got intangibles, right? Which kind of the leadership and the presence, which you can't really pick up in analytics, but when you see it, and you guys were fortunate enough to see it at the Den yesterday, it just completely changes the way we set up and organise.
Matt, I'm going to tell you about this. If no one knows, Matt loves Jack Colback. I don't know if you know this, Jordan. He's the number one fan. Again, I thought Jack Colback, not a left back, but again, fantastic. Just against Arsenal as well. He's been can we just leave it? Might as well leave him left back, Matt. Just leave him there.
Well, yeah, I mean, left back is the least glamorous position on the pitch, really, isn't it? And he's doing a good job. He's showing the left backs how to play left back, really. But I think we miss him in the midfield, like we were saying before we came on air. I think in the first half we were getting overrun in the midfield, and you need the experience in there. The two we had in there are good, and it's not an inevitable thing that he's going to take his place back, although I think he should. I think it's only probably the fair thing to do anyway, but it's not a foregone conclusion because they've both been playing pretty well. So, I think he's kind of wasted at left back, but he's sacrificing himself for the sake of the team. So, and what about Samba? Samba's the boy, really, isn't he? Everyone, we've had the conversations week after week. We don't like the look of him. He looks a bit casual, but I like the look of him yesterday. He was unbelievable.
I was about to say that much. That's about Samba. Like, I want to stop from defensive, but again, Samba, he made. How many decent? Second half, he made a decent save, but another clean sheet. With a good back three as well, and it's giving him more confidence, isn't it, Des?
Yeah, definitely. And what I noticed yesterday about Samba, especially, was there was none of that bravado, none of that sort of stuff. He went about his business. I'm not sure why, but I just noticed there weren't much of it. There was one save in particular, and I'd have to see it back. Where he got right across the goal, they actually should have scored. Their player should have tapped it in at the back post, but he got right across, and And without being as good as that, it reminded me of the Gordon Banks save, the famous one where he gets right down into the bottom corner. So it's priceless, isn't it? And I touched on the defence before, and you asked Jordan about Steve Cook. I think Samba and Cook playing well, helped McKenna and Worrell yesterday, particularly Worrell. Worrell had a shaky start.
Yeah, he did.
They pinned a phobia to him, and he caused a bit of damage. Again, going particularly hard at him, throwing the kitchen sink at us. It just sort of got Worrell into a few knots. But once Cook had kind of come out, and what I noticed about Cook yesterday is he really asserted himself on the team. Of course, every player, he's a leader anyway, but every player is going to come in and take a game or two to start giving out rollickins and things like that. But he gave out a few yesterday, and it was almost like he sorted out Worrell. Worrell did something after about 20 minutes, and then you saw his confidence go up. And again, with Cook as the centre back and Samba playing out of his skin, it's going to make the other two guys feel unbeatable, isn't it? So I think we've really nailed it back there, and that's obviously the solid basis for the success we're having. I was just looking actually, since Cooper took over in 20 games, we've only conceded 2 goals twice, 2 or more, which again is really interesting considering what we was conceding before and how bad it was.
Jordan, I mentioned this player. I mean, I think since he's come to the club, like Davis from Aston Villa, I think everyone was a bit, well, wow, he's not scored much goals with Aston Villa. He's not played much, but he's come in, like as well Arsenal game. He's fitting like that type of player that we need, because I know everyone slags off Lyle Taylor because every time everyone touches him, he drops to the floor. But Davis, he's come in, and I think he's last 2 games he's not been too bad, has it?
Yeah, he's had impact. Like he adds a dimension to us that we didn't have up front, where he's like the more physical Ishmael Miller when you look at him.
Yeah, he is.
But he's. I think he gives us so much. You could make an argument to say he was our best player till he came off yesterday. In the way that he was running the channels, some of the chances he even created for himself. There was one moment where he literally turned on a dime and created an opportunity to have a shot. So I think he gives us something really interestingly different. I think we struggled with him and Grabban up front in the first 40 minutes. I think we missed Nagel stepping into the field like he has done before. But you saw it the last 5 minutes of the second half and the start of the second. We found a way to make it work. And I think he's been a brilliant addition. And again, we've done so well in the loan market this year, and we've really struggled to do that in past seasons. So sounds like another shrewd pickup.
You just mentioned, like I said, like the first 40 minutes, Matt. Like we wasn't great. Like I know I always praise Ryan Yates every time, but I think it was difficult because like when we were playing him and Garner in that centre midfield, we did struggle against a physical Millwall side, didn't we, Matt?
Yeah, definitely. And Davis really did nothing. He was anonymous on the left wing for those 40 minutes, really, in hindsight. And a lot of people saying, take him off. But then the next 20, he was like Antonio. We were joking, or someone said he always like Antonio. You go, come on. But he actually was turning and playing and physical like that. And he was a big part, I think, in changing the momentum of the team. And going back to Samba, what I really like about Samba is I always feel like he's a gambler. He trusts his instincts. He waits and he waits and he waits. And whatever's going on, he doesn't prejudge it. And I thought yesterday there was that free kick, which it looked like someone was going to get a touch, and he just waited. And then at the last minute, it was right down by his right-hand side. He flicked it around. I think that was the one you're probably talking about. And that's typical of him. And I mean, he trusts his instincts. But anyway, what was the question? Go back to that again.
Like with Garner, like Ryan Yates, it wasn't that great.
Yeah,
I think Yates, not Garner, but Yates was more. He wasn't.
Well, everyone was rubbish for the first 40 minutes. Really, I don't think anyone would look back on the first 40 minutes and be able to make any kind of positive contribution. It was awful. We were second to every ball. We weren't having the run of the ball or anything, were we? Really, it was a dreadful 40 minutes. And again, I think the two midfielders, they're not the best defensively. And I just felt like Millwall were getting taking the initiative at every opportunity, and we just weren't. We were second to everything, weren't we? Really.
I think with Yates and Garner too, like I think they were just left out to dry a bit in the first half, where we didn't have the cover from the front three that's usually step in, where Zinchenko would do it. And then I think you made a great point about the phobia on Worrell, Des, where those two centre-backs didn't push in behind the midfield like they used to with the Worrell and McKenna, because they were pinned back. So it just created loads of space, and Millwall just carving in that gap in midfield with their three in there. And it wasn't pretty, was it, for us as we were watching it?
We weren't pressing either, though, were we? We were just getting caught in between two stalls. They were standing back, but they were doing nothing, and they were just playing the ball through us as they pleased, basically.
I'm just looking at the comments, and there's one for you, Jordan. I don't know if you can see this. Jordan, you're making a Dore debut before Match Day, Max. I do apologise, not. Shout out to Max. One for Lee. We think we generated business 2 years ago when we was in playoffs, and compared to the past fortnight, it's been so crucial. 2 signings, seems like a couple of learning from the past mistakes. We're going up. Des, do you agree with Lee Tilson with that?
I've been adamant since that Fulham game that we're getting to at least the playoffs.
You have.
I've been adamant that we're getting to the playoffs. I'm still absolutely adamant. I can't see any reason why we ain't going to push on. What's more important about I'll come to the signing shortly, but it's the way we bounce back now. When we got beat by Fulham, we didn't lose for 9 games. It took us a bit of time to get fully going again. We got too many draws. If you can get too many draws before the wins started coming. But then when we lost 2 on the spin, and then we've won again. And this is where Forest have imploded in the past, isn't it? This time of year, 10 games without a win, season over, we write it off and say we're building for next season. We're actually signing players now with giving us a real prospect of getting into the playoffs, pushing on, going into them looking exciting. Davis, I think, adds a completely different dynamic. Cook, we've already mentioned. If he signs Jed Wallace, I think that would be an outstanding signing.
That's another thing we'll talk about later about Jed Wallace.
And what I really like about these kind of signings is, well, me and Matt have banged the drum about this over time, but these signings are transparent. We can see what we're getting. We know what we're getting. We're not getting the guy from AEK Athens or Limassol or wherever. And they're going to come into the team and they're going to play, because I've moaned over the last 2-3 years that we sign players that aren't as good as what we've got. We're actually signing players. I think Jed Wallace, if we sign him, in Cooper's mind, would be a step up from Zinchenko. I know he slightly gets frustrated with him, and I think what he's trying to do there is get our own players to replace some of these loan players that we're going to lose out on. Yeah. And again, it all just looks rosy. Even if it doesn't happen this season, next season we're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Championship again. We're not going to be starting with a deficit of like 10 points on everybody else.
Start for 100 years, yeah.
So I think the signings and it just shows that you've got a guy who knows the Championship inside out. We thought we had that with Houghton, but this guy knows his stuff. And it's interesting, all these comments about the way we had to defend in that first half. You hear a lot of people say, in Cooper we trust, but do they actually trust that they're saying the right thing? Because I totally trusted him. Whilst we've not conceded a goal, I don't care how we play, because I can see at half time we're going to come out a different team. And when them players sort of step on it, there was that slight issue in midfield. Matt said Colback is probably going to come back in. And I think that's important. And on the signings, 3 or 4 on top of the first 11 we're currently playing, or was playing 2-3 games ago, is going to make the world of difference. Because I've said a lot of times as well, we had a first 11. Once that first 11's, once there's 1 or 2, Max Lowe was the classic one, wasn't it? Once Max Lowe was out of the team, we started to not fall to pieces, because we've still done well, but we lost that game, and then we drew a few games and we didn't pick up as many points. When we've got our first 11 on the pitch, especially with one or two players with adding real competition, You know, it's a fighting thought, isn't it?
100%. There's 118 people in. Thank you very much for everyone coming. It's amazing. If you've got any questions for Jordan, Matt, and Des about the game yesterday, or Forest-related stuff, that's what I'm here for, to talk about Forest. Let's talk about the goal. Let me talk to you, Matt, because another good goal, and as well, and I mentioned Brendan Johnson. Like I said, he was. I wouldn't say he was quiet, but like second half he improved. But again, it came from Johnson, then grabbing again. That I put my hands up. I thought he was past it, but yeah, again, he's proven most of Forest fans wrong. But again, he's scoring again in the last minute.
Yeah, well, as you say, Brennan had a game to forget, didn't he? Along with everyone for the first 40 minutes, but then in the second half, he was still struggling. He was crossing the ball like to a different planet and things like this occasionally. So I think he would have liked to sort of have the tape erased completely. But then when it counted, he was brilliant. And it goes back to the same thing, like the Carvalho argument, where you say, well, he does nothing. Yeah, but if he does that for 1 second in the game, that's it. That's where you earn your wages and earn your shirt. And yeah, he was brilliant. It was a brilliant ball through. And it was old Zink that did the little chip again, effective. And who's there? Of course, Grabban. So yeah, it was a great goal and it was perfect timing. And I thought, like you said, Grabban obviously is always going to score goals. And the chances weren't falling to him earlier in the game. But at times yesterday, he looked like he was about 10 years younger, didn't he? He was running about like a lunatic a couple of times. 100%. So I think we've got to give him another year's contract, whether we go up or not, because he's old gold, isn't he?
Jordan, I'll ask you. There's a lot of people in the comments. I'm going to ask Jordan this. We know Grabban. How's Grabban? Is he 34, 35?
They say 34, allegedly.
34? Yeah, allegedly. Jordan, I know it's been on debate on Twitter. Would you give Grabban a contract, like a year contract?
I think this is so tricky, isn't it? Where
it is, it really is.
That's me at the start of the season. I've probably been like, probably not. But the way he's playing right now, you'd hate to see him do that somewhere else and it come back to bite us in classic Forest fashion. And there's probably something there. And I think lots of folks have been confused about him and being captain, right? And
I mean, I'll put my hands up. I am. I'm not gonna lie. I will, because I'll put my hands up for that.
Yeah.
On, John, sorry.
But we're seeing, he's captain under this side and we're doing remarkably well. So we don't really know exactly the impact he has for sure. But I think we owe him a bit of debt of gratitude to maybe give him an extra year. He's been such a great servant for us. I don't even know where he is on our all-time leading goal scorers right now. But he's
wait. I know he's with. I saw a stat today. Oh my God.
Stan
Collymore, right?
Yeah, Stan Collymore. Yeah, it was a stat today. I've seen it. Was it just Stan Collymore?
It was Stan, but obviously Stan did it in 2 seasons already.
Yeah, he was different gravy.
He's had a lot longer, yeah. But still,
yeah,
goals count, don't they?
I think that's it. I don't think we have anyone like him in our squad. If he disappeared tomorrow, that does the things he does for us. So unless we find a replacement as well, I think we have to give him an extra year because he offers something nobody else can for us.
I think, like I said, we've got Dave Murphy and he can get his contacts, but I think, like I said, how many goals he's got now? Is it 10 goals now? Because I think as another stat, he scored 10 goals under Cooper. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 10 goals, something to do with that. There's another. What's funny, Matt?
I'd love your preparation for all this.
No,
do you write anything down, or is it all unscripted?
12 goals. Here you go. Everyone's coming in.
There we go. 12. See, I don't need the script because I've got these people. Right. Yeah. I've got these people.
Help him when he's struggling. Dive in quick. It's like on who wants to be a millionaire. Phone a friend quick.
Got 118 life rafts in the comments.
This is why I don't have Matt on my ship, because he just we're like talking about, like I said, Grabban Des, and it's been fantastic for us so far. But we need, like I said, talk about Davis and Lau Taylor. Like with Grabban, he doesn't play at number 9. He won the right yesterday, didn't he, as a winger. He's a massive factor now, especially with these young players that we've got, like Johnson alongside him.
Yeah, and I've been critical of Grabban over time. You know, I'll hold my hands up. He has been the only one that scored the goals. So when we're struggling, we're always finding somebody to have a go at. But the thing is with Grabban, and I've reiterated this lots of times as well, is when he's got something to play for, when he plays on his toes, you know, when he's happy, when he's getting some service, and he's playing in a forward-thinking team. He's one hell of a player at this level. The reason he's not played in the Premier League is because he does miss one or two sitters. He missed one yesterday. And I think that would have been the difference from him playing in the Premier League. But the problem is, and if we do sign him for another year, I feel we've got to do it sort of on Grabban's terms, you know, almost what he wants. Because what you want is a happy Lewis Grabban, regardless. And he's better for the team. He's a better player, you know. He runs a lot more, you know. Which this year, like Matt said, he looks 10 years younger all of a sudden because he's looked very laboured in the last couple of years. So it's just important to, if we do sign him, almost not give him what he wants because that's a bit far fetched, but give him what.
So then I just read this comment like, leave me alone. I'm trying to. Sorry, Des. Come on, Des.
Yeah, I was just saying that just almost give Grabban what he needs to make him happy, to make him stay. You know, if we're going to go out and get Davis again or another young player, you know, I think in previous years, the way Cooper's used Grabban, it would have upset him. But I think, and it was striking from the interview after the Arsenal game, we all come home and watched the game straight away, didn't we? It was interesting that Cooper mentioned that how he's had a chat with Grabban and how they're going to use him and things like that. And I just thought that was really, really interesting because in previous years, I think Grabban coming off the bench, he might have had a different animal. But now he seems to realise it's about the team and it's about the bigger picture.
Well, did you see that comment? I thought it was interesting. Apparently he said they don't call them subs, they call them finishers when they come off the bench now. Which I think, you know, it's the kind of thing you hear from Eddie Jones in the rugby. I think that's dead right. And I think, like what you're saying with Grabban, I mean, look, if we get promoted and we've got millions and billions in the bank and we sign 2 or 3 superstar strikers, you know, from somewhere else, you might not feel like you need him. But even in that instance, I think he's the kind of guy you want. And you do have to manage him. You know, don't pay him whatever he wants and all this stuff. He is highly respected in the changing room. And it's purely because of that, I think, that he's captain. He's well liked, and he's the guy that scores the goals. So they've got to like him because he wins all the games for them, basically. If he wasn't there, no one else would they? But he's got to be managed properly. He's not going to be able to play every game of the season. I'm amazed he's kind of played so much this season as it is, but I don't see next season, you know, the strikers at 35, 36, they, you know, you can't play every game of the season in the Championship. It's too much. But Cooper will get the best out of him. He's getting the best out of him now. And I think, like you said, talk to him, give him what he wants. I think Cooper's different to previous managers we don't like to mention. He does speak to all of them, and I think he gets the best out of all of them, and that's what we're seeing.
This is a funny one because I was surprised Millwall didn't bring on, is it Matt Smith? I was telling Des because I personally thought he loves going past Forest and I was panicking. Every time I saw him warming up on the sideline, like, I said, Des, he's coming on, Des. He's coming on, Des. Like, no, he's not coming, he's coming on. But was you surprised?
We was in the upper tier and Matt Smith was level with us.
They had a lot of injuries, though, didn't they? That was the problem.
Yeah.
They had lots of injuries. That stifled all their plans, didn't it?
No, like I think they had the 2 main strikers. I think it was it came off. It was the main strikers. I was worried. Like I think the centre back got injured, and I thought so. They're not going to swap in for Matt Smith on it because they were struggling. So I was happy. Matt Smith didn't come on. He's like he scored past Forest every single time. But John, was you happy that he didn't come on?
Yeah, it's almost like the ghost of Matt Smith, wasn't it? It's like you've seen him be a wrecking ball to us so many times. He's like, I'm trying to think of like other players that are like him. Like Scott Dobby used to be like that at Blackpool. He used to score every time against us, even in the playoffs. And there's been loads of strikers that seem to just turn into world beaters. Rudy Gestead as well didn't score for
Oh,
the game.
he always goes past us. Who was it? I think it was Kumaz. He plays West Brom. He always scores past us every time.
It's like Vidra would be.
He does it all the time as well.
Yeah, he's literally in that category, isn't he? Of just like nightmare players. And yeah, when that injury happened in the first half, I was worried he'd come on, but they brought the other striker on, didn't they, yesterday? And that's probably what won it for us, because if you think of the amount of balls they were starting to shoot around the box,
especially the first half. Yeah. The first half, I think it was the first 20 minutes. I was whipping it in. I thought to myself, if that was Matt Smith,
you'd have had a hat-trick again.
Because I was surprised. I think, but when I think their centre back got injured in the second half, and I thought to myself, he's not coming on. Because
it was an interesting dynamic, wasn't it? Because basically they made 2 injury subs already. Then the centre back got injured, and you could see he shouldn't have carried on. He really shouldn't have been carrying on. They went and put I can't remember. I think we probably put Grabban straight on him because Davis might have gone off. Yeah. And then you could see that was almost trying to sort of wait to see if they could hold out, and if they went 1-0 down earlier, I think they would have put Smith on. It was almost like he was trying to see the game out, but he knew there was a possibility that they'd concede anyway. So he was waiting to try and use him in some way. But they never made that a third sub, and it probably come back to bite them a little bit.
Yeah, it was like the Formula One all over again, wasn't it, really? Same sort of scenario. They didn't know what to do for the best.
I love when Matt says his little quotes, man. He just comes out with his random stuff. As well, like it was 0-0, and as well, I mentioned we were struggling in the first half, and when we took off Davis, we brought on and like he changed the game, because I think we were struggling, especially in that midfield as well, and then he set up the goal for Grabban. But it was like I said, another positive change from Cooper, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, well, Cooper gets nearly everything right, and like you were saying earlier about the squad depth, I think that's true, but we do only have 1 or 2 players outside the first 11 that you want to bring on and you're confident are going to actually add. You know, we haven't got a hot lolly now, and we've got a few injuries and stuff like that. So, we're stretched, and we have been stretched for a long time, like you were saying with the left back thing. That was catastrophic, losing Lowe, and we've got to get Lowe back as quick as possible. I understand Larea's going off now to play for Canada or something, some trivial game. That's what I mean, some trivial, irrelevant game, whereas really he should be here getting Cole back into the midfield. But so that's kind of a disappointment. But if we add a couple more players, especially if they're first team players, then hopefully that will change, and Cooper's substitutions will become even more of a big factor, because he does the right things, and if he's got more cards, he's got a better deck of cards in front of him, he's going to be even more of an asset to us.
Yeah, you're right with Larea. Like, his last game was November 16th for Canada against Mexico. So they beat Mexico 2-1. So he's not played for coming up to 2 months now. So it may be a lack of match fitness. And then when you look at the next games we've got coming up, he's got 3 games at the back end of January. He's got 3 World Cup qualifiers against Honduras, USA, and El Salvador. So he's going to be missing definitely for the Cardiff game, and it depends if he makes the Barnsley game after Derby or not when he flies out. So we that's probably why we're still in for another left-sided defender. That the rumours are
Buchanan.
Yeah. Well, just to 30k for Shinny, didn't they?
No. I'm about to talk to you about later. We'll talk about later about that, because I want your opinion about that, because I think I spoke to Des and Matt about that. Last one, least. Last one about Millwall, and what I think about. Let me tell you, Des. What player was you really impressed with yesterday, Des? Like, what player stood out?
I think, for me personally, I felt their right winger, their right wing back was quite dangerous. I thought Jack Colback went very under the radar yesterday, and especially after what he did against Arsenal. Samba did what he did. Cook was organising. Spence started a bit shaky as well. Spence looked a bit pent up. And obviously, knowing Glenn as we do, who lives down there and knows a little bit of Spence, I turned to Glenn and said, "Is he a bit fired up because he's back here?" He said, "Possibly." But second half again, Spence coming to his own, and it goes back to that thing. Believe me, I don't hang on to every word Cooper says, honestly. But Cooper said last week he's trying to get them to believe they're better players. Do you know? And some of the passages of play in that second half was a Forest we haven't even seen under Cooper. Do you know? Some of the one-touch passing and down that right-hand side, as much as Brennan didn't have the best game, do you know, him and Spence had that left back on toast. Do you know? So it was one of them yesterday where I don't think anybody particularly stood out. It was a proper performance. They had to dig in. You know, they created lots of chances. Ryan Yates got into some good positions, you know, which is good to see. You know, whatever was happening in the midfield, and we spoke about the gap between him and Garner, they were too far apart. I just think all round, you know, you're probably looking at sevens across the board. But for me, like I say, the one that went a little bit under the radar was Jack Colback, because I was quite impressed with him, what right-sided player. I'm not sure what his name is, but he was putting in some good balls. And once we stopped them crosses, we stopped them almost. Yeah. They were battering us sort of directly to start with, but then they were getting the ball. What was happening with the midfield, I explained this on the vlog, which you made me do twice. So basically, because we was getting a little bit overrun in midfield, they were just coming out quite easily, and then they were doubling up on us on the wing. You know, and it was becoming a bit of a problem. But and with that guy being able to cross the ball, once Colback got a handle on him, stopped him, it was a completely different thing, and we sort of changed the game around from there. So for me, whilst nobody really stood out, I think Colback had a really good game.
And what about you, Jordan?
I think our third shirt's man of the match, mate. Like the shirt of the game that we have on that third shirt. It's probably our most successful shirt we've ever had in our club.
And the worst thing about it, when it first came out, everyone was slagging it off. Everyone.
They've got to make it the first choice shirt now. Change the red one for that, maybe.
Everyone was, and when I brought it, everyone said, "Oh, why you brought that for?" Blah blah blah. And now look at it, everyone wants it to be the first shirt. But yeah, carry on, Jordan. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'd love to. Maybe one of the life rafts can help us work out the points per game of that shirt. But
people in comments, so help Jordan out.
But no, I mentioned Davis. Honestly, I thought he was excellent till he came off. He was our best player till then, and then I think probably back half of the second half, we've mentioned Samba and we've mentioned Grabban providing the finishing touch. I think those also stuck out for me, without wanting to copy Des, because I think he made a great play.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, well, first 40 minutes, I think they're all 4 out of 10 kind of thing. And the rest of the game, they all sort of, like you say, sevens. And for me, well, Colback's just Colback. I just, I don't get, he doesn't, I expect the best and we get that. But Samba has to have it for me, totally, because
that save was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did a few brilliant saves, and he just deserves it. He hasn't had the credit he deserves a lot of the time. I mean, considering.
What about the one where he came out and caught it?
Oh yeah, he caught it with one hand. Oh, that was amazing.
He's like an NFL receiver, like catches.
It's like Cirque du Soleil or something, all by himself, isn't it? But yeah, I think he totally deserved it, and I thought. Really, although we were terrible for the first 40 minutes and we were kind of losing out all over the field, we weren't bullied the classic way where they were putting the ball in and killing us. So I think the back three as a unit, even though Worrell played pretty badly and McKenna wasn't even up to his normal standard, and even Cook had a couple of wobbles, but together they worked as a really good unit and they did stop them. And you're going to break some eggs to make an omelette, aren't you? And they did do the job. Yeah. And that's nice to see. It's nice to see we can sort of fight these teams that come to fight you.
Yeah. It's so. Oh, sorry.
Make
one last point. Like, it is amazing to think of the chances we created in that last 10 minutes yesterday. Yeah. Like, if you look at bygone eras, we'd never be playing that late into the game. We often concede a goal at that point of the game. But there's an interesting stat. We had our highest XG since April 2017 yesterday, despite that 40 minutes. So,
Jordan, here's your stat. Jordan, here's your stat from the yellow shirt. 13 points. You had in the away shirt.
13 from 5. So what's that? 2.6 points a game, mate. We've got to play in that for the rest of the
year. So here, people, here's your stat. So everyone will talk about everyone. And people in the comments as well, who was your man of the match? As I said, but this is Jordan's first time. I'm going to talk about Steve Cooper, and since he's come in, he's been fantastic. But what was he your first choice to be first manager? I'm putting you on the spot.
I actually was more Team Wilder, to be completely honest.
You know what? I'm not going to lie, I was as well.
And Middlesbrough are in the playoffs now, so I don't think you could have made a bad choice to some extent out of the two. But I think Cooper's probably the right person for us in hindsight, given where we are at our stage. I think we're massively overachieving this year with what we've got, and I think we'll finish top half and build again next year with what we've got. And he will learn then even more about the game, but he's really building some brilliant foundations. And being at Swansea was an incredible experience.
And I'm about to mention it. Like, I don't know if people knew, Jordan flew all the way from Toronto to Swansea. But Jordan, tell everyone what was that journey like, coming all the way, and we won. So yeah, tell everyone.
It was a long day. That day, Saturday. I left Paddington at like 9 a.m. I think, I got back very late. It was an awesome day out. Like,
it was great. Me and Des went. It was a fantastic day, wasn't it, Des, as well?
Nuts. It was nuts. 4 goals and everything. And I've got the worst away record. Like whenever I fly back, I think that's my first win for about 3 or 4 years. So I was really happy about that one. I saw the opening game against Bournemouth and then Blackburn, Stoke. So it's 3 losses for me to start.
Don't mention Stoke. I said to Jordan, Des, I said to him, the Stoke game was don't talk about Stoke. That game was just a completely write-off. So yeah, we don't talk about Stoke. But yeah, carry on, Jordan.
Yeah, no, it's I think my worst one was Norwich. When it's 5-1 with Ross McCormack, I landed that morning from Toronto, travelled all the way to Norwich with rail replacement and watched us lose 5-1. That was another one. But no, I think Cooper's got a bit of the Midas touch, hasn't he? Really, where he's bringing everyone on the same page. It's clear he's got an amazing relationship with not only the players, but also the fans. I think if there's one criticism of the way the club has been with our fans in the last 4 years, it's that we've really struggled to have a bond. Karanka did it, Sabri did it really nicely, but they didn't end in the nicest way either for us. And then we plummeted to Martin O'Neill, who was divisive. And then we had Houghton, which I don't think he realised we had fans. So I think with Cooper, he's really building a community spirit. And if you look at what Southgate's done with England, he's basically learnt from him at St George's Park, lifted and shifted it into Forest, and we're seeing the results of it. So I think it's been a really good move.
It's interesting you make that point, Jordan, because as you know, I went to West Ham Leeds today, and I thought to myself, Forest are a million miles behind this. You know, we all think we're a big team, but in terms of infrastructure, mentality, all these things, we're a mile behind. But the one thing I thought we're miles in front of is atmosphere and fans. I thought, today as an experience compared to, I don't know, I'm a Forest fan, and I didn't give 2 hoots who won today. But it was soulless. And it just felt there was that real detachment, from that. And what Cooper, it just made me realise how far we've come since Houghton under Cooper. And when the fans are feeling it, I was almost on the back row of the stadium, and I thought, you've got no connection with what's happening on the pitch. But Cooper's finding that way to make that connection and keep it going.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the comments. Reading all the right, next one, and as everyone knows, we've got them kind of road counter. Let me start with you, Matt, because as you know, but off the pitch, and especially on social media, I know 99.9 Forest fans don't feel sorry for him. Matt, do you feel sorry for him?
Well, like, in a way, I feel like you do. None of my business, kind of thing. I kind of think it's their problem. They can handle it. We've had our problems. They've got their problems. Personally, I would rather they were in the same league as us and we got 6 points off them every year. That's my own opinion, because it's good for the area. It's good. It's one of the games we want to see more than anything, and it's guaranteed every season. So personally, I'd rather they stayed up, which sounds awful to some people who seem to take more pleasure from Derby misfortune or
no, don't get me involved. Don't get me. I'm not
but it's
involved.
true. But a lot of fans seem more obsessed. I would rather, like, the Cooper thing's been phenomenal. Going back to, like, I'm surprised, John, you're saying, like, mid-table next season and stuff. No. This is a weak league. With what we've got, we're the form team in the league. The problem was Houghton. If we got rid of Houghton, we'd be in the top 2. We'd be talking about the top 2. There's not many good teams there. And if we end up mid-table, it'd be a tragedy. From this point, it would be awful. And I don't think it will happen. Cooper knows what he's doing. Let Derby worry about themselves. They've got enough problems. And, personally, I'd rather you win and lose on the pitch. And I'd just rather go out and win 46 games on the trot and them to lose 46 games and do it that way, rather than all this so-called fair play where you get teams getting billions and millions when they come down. It's not fair at all, as far as I'm concerned. If there was a wage cap and you actually had to work with what you're given, maybe then they can call it fair play. But I think the whole, outside things getting involved and all this kind of stuff, I'd rather we just beat them on the pitch fair and square.
John, do you feel sorry for him?
I don't really, to be honest. Well, I think what makes me laugh is obviously the Buchanan stuff. We referenced it a little bit earlier. Is they're happy enough to take 25 pence on the pound to HMRC to help them stay afloat. Yet when we come in and offer them, 50 pence on the pound for a player, they're crying foul and they're wanting to have their cake and eat it. And I think that's the biggest travesty all of this is we've got a second victim FC here. They're rivaling Liverpool right now. Their fans are. And it's embarrassing for them, I think, honestly, the way their fans have got this moral authority over everybody and the world owes them a living. They've played a really clever political game. They're crying foul now that we've got a Middlesbrough and a Forest representative on the EFL board. But the whole time they were cheating, they had a member on the EFL board.
I've seen it as well. And you know what makes me laugh? And I'll get to you, Ted, next. And I've seen the selling who's a player to Wigan. Shinny. And I said that I've not put on Twitter. I don't feel sorry for that because I don't know if Forest fans remember, they brought a player from Wigan.
Nathan Byrne, the right back.
Nathan Byrne. Wigan were in the administration. They brought him for, I think it's for $500,000. And now they get upset because they brought it to 30k. And Derby fans be like, blah, blah. No, Derby, I don't give you a sympathy on that situation because you done it to them and now they did it to you. So with that situation, I don't feel sorry for him. But what you're saying, Matt, I agree. I want to play. It's the first thing we look at the fixtures list. It's Derby. That's the first thing we look at. But
they've got to take their medicine. Because we've had the rough end of the stick out of virtually every other club. I feel like in the whole league. We lost some incredible players because of these kind of things, and unfortunate circumstances beyond our control. Tragic off the field.
Where's Morgan?
Like Doughty, unfortunately, passing away and all that, which you'd never, So we've had our misfortunes, and they laughed at us, and we've got every right to laugh at them. But They can't complain about it because it is what it is, but it was all good when it was good. And it was the same with the likes of Bournemouth and all these other teams that get promoted and get away with it. They could have got away with it and they could have got promoted and got a get out of jail free card.
Well, Leicester
but they didn't.
Didn't they? Leicester cheated.
Yeah, lots of teams have.
Loads of teams have done it.
Yeah. Wolves and all those people. Absolutely.
What about you, Des? Before we change subject.
I don't care.
Exactly.
Literally, I don't care. All the points the guys made there, they didn't care about us. We don't care about them. Yes, as a fixture, it's a lot of the times in the last few years when we have had those seasons which have petered out into nothing, all we've had to look forward to after Christmas is a fixture at Pride Park or at the City Ground, with something to keep us going. But whatever happens to them, they need to face the punishment, and they won't go bust. Do you know, teams the size of Derby won't go bust. And I know 1 or 2 have in the past, but the reason they give them till the end of the month is because somebody will come in and pay the debts. Do you know, because that's how it works. Do you know, Bury went bust, you know, because they didn't have that sort of financial backing. You've got to remember Derby put a lot of money back in as well as paying high wages as a football club. So they'll find some agreement below deck, you know, where they come up with the answers. We won't know about the technicalities of it. They'll get hit hard. They might get relegated. They might get, you know, they might get further points deduction, whatever. But, you know, deal with it. Deal with it and come back, you know, because that's like you said about Forest. We had to watch Dross for years, and they weren't bothered when they were coming picking players offers, you know, when they was in a slightly better position. Chris Commons, you know, and you know, and I know that was kind of our choice as well. But Tyson and things like that, they weren't bothered about signing players from us for next to nothing. So at the end of the day, deal with it, get on with it, you know, come back.
Yeah,
do what you got to do.
You know what? We'll see this question as well. I do feel sorry for Derby, but they'll stay up anyway. Nah, they won't stay up. There's not a chance in God hell. Boys, they're not going to stay up, are they? Come on.
What happens here, though, is yes, they've been on a run, but you know when they lose 3 or 4, which will inevitably happen, it becomes really hard then to catch up again. I'm not saying everybody's going to win all their games in hand, but you've seen at the start of the season when Sheffield Wednesday got an 8-9 point deduction. Yeah. They've won 3 games. Everyone thinks, we're back on an even keel with the teams that started poor, but then they win a couple of games. And each time that happens, it gets that little bit harder to get the momentum.
The pressure. Back. It's the pressure, isn't it? Everything changes at the end of the season. And it's like us. We had our points deduction. It was Houston, wasn't it? You know, that was 21 points down the drain or whatever it was. You know, so all's fair, you know. So, but yeah, you're right. They'll win some games, and then when they can taste success, then the pressure will come on, and they won't be able to get that goal or that point. You know, that's when it really counts. So you've got to say they're probably going to get relegated. But like I say, I wouldn't mind if they didn't. You know, I really wouldn't mind if they didn't, as long as they sort of suffer in the long run.
Yeah.
People, does anyone agree with Matt in the comments below? Jordan, what are you about to say, Jordan?
I was about to say, like, what is tasting success for Derby now? Is it going for beers in the car park again at the end of the season or something pathetic
exactly.
like that? I think that's the challenge for them as well, isn't there? Like, what is success for them? It's like surviving to have another season where they need to survive again with more restrictions and punishment. It's a tough one for them. But they're only 2 points behind us on actual points earned. So when you think of where we are, and we've been talking about us pushing for playoffs, they've won 4 of the last 5 games and drawn the other. Like, they are they're probably the form team of the table. So it's going to be interesting for us when we play them. But it's a big mountain for them to climb.
But personally, I love the fact they're beating other teams. You know, that's what teams. I don't want to lose to everyone else. That's the
problem. That's the thing I want to talk about. Like with you three, like before we get away, like I said, it's a massive game. They're on good form. They've won. Is it 4 games a bounce now? Like, and I talk to you, Jordan, before we get to lads. Are you confident we'll beat them? Because they've not beat us for how long now? Is it 3 or 4 years now? And sorry, I got to rub it in, Derby fans. If there are Derby fans watching, you're not beat us for 4 years. Just rub it in.
Ask Glenn what the days are. Glenn always knows what the days are.
Glenn, if you're watching, what's the days?
Another life draft in there. Help us out.
People in the comments, help me out. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game. Like I said, they're playing with passion on the pitch, but it's not going to be easy, is it, Jordan?
Yeah, I think with Derby games, you try not to lose usually. And when you're at home, you try and win the game. And I think that's basically what our motto's got to be, is we've got to go and win the game. But by God, we shouldn't lose it.
Well, sorry, you see our Derby fans here, Lisa Howard. The EFL are terrified Derby are on fire.
Yeah, they'll take off a couple of extra points at the end of the season just to relegate them. You just know they will anyway.
Shout out to Lisa. Shout out to Lisa. She's on the show on Thursday with Lisa Fox, so people go and check that one out on Thursday. I'll get one prediction. I don't know. I'll start with you, Jordan. Like, it's a massive game for us next week. And I'd like to, are you confident that we can get a result against them?
Yeah, I do think we'll get a result, but I just don't think it's going to be easy, or as easy as potentially some people might think it is. And this week could be pivotal for Derby in their whole transfer window. They could get picked off 2 or 3 players this week, and it completely changes the complexion. So I do think we'll win. I think we'll get a draw, worst case scenario. And here we go.
I told you, Glenn is a man. Glenn knows the man. He knows everything. That's why Glenn's on it. Thank you, Glenn. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we'll win. Yeah.
What about you, Matt? Are you confident that?
Well, I think Derby games are completely different anyway. Wherever you are in the league, it's a one-off game. It's a leveler. In this case, we're both in good form, as you say. I mean, I'm amazed because I didn't really rate Derby's squad, and I think our squad was a lot better. I'm confident we'll win because we've got Steve Cooper in charge, and now we're a proactive team, and we haven't been a proactive team for a long time. We're going to go out there and try to win, I think, and I think we will win. But a Derby game, anything can happen.
What about you, Des?
Like Jordan, I think it'll be a tough game, but we can do tough games. We did a tough game yesterday. Millwall aren't that far behind us in the league. We beat teams above us, so I believe in whatever Cooper's got. The one thing they won't do, they won't be able to bombard us like certain teams have. They won't pass us off the pitch like Swansea did. They won't have the aerial presence like Millwall did. So I feel, again, it's about sort of weighing it up and then our flair players going for it. I think we'll have too much for them. Yes, they're getting results. That you can't fault that. There is some inner team spirit going on there. But again, I see a few comments. What happens if Rooney goes to Everton? What happens to team spirit then? It might not happen. It probably won't happen. But I think we've got more than enough. We've got into many of these games where we've got a result a lot more worried than we should be now.
Yeah.
I just they'll win the Franklin Cup, and we'll go for like they'll win.
They'll
then we'll
just sell it, won't they?
Yeah, and we'll just take it back. So
they'll sell it on eBay.
Flowers special.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen it all before. You see, everything goes round. There's nothing new, is there?
Right. But last but not least, like I said, I'm asking John. I think I've asked Matt and Des so many times, and John, I asked all the Forest fans on here, and he's gone. He's gone.
He doesn't want to hear that question. I thought it was that question you were bringing out.
Oh, where's the
question you don't broadcast that you always ask us?
He'll be back. No, I was just about to ask a question now. I've asked you, Des. Oh, he's back on again. Have you not been paying your bill, Jordan?
He wants to have my place in the team, doesn't he?
God, it's terrible Wi-Fi across the Atlantic, isn't it? It's going on.
Oh, Jordan, you've not been paying your rent, have you, Jordan?
No, mate.
Jordan, I was just about to ask. I've asked Des and Matt this so many times, and before the season started, where did you thought Forest would finish, and where do you think we'll finish now? So, where did you thought Forest would have finished to start the season?
Great question. I was hoping for a mid-table-ish progression at the start of this season and build on it for next year. I think we're still there. When I do the maths of the league table, we'll probably finish 7th or 8th is my view of where we're at. If you look at the teams in the top 6 now,
people comment. Do you agree with Jordan?
Let me finish. But Fulham, West Brom, Borough, I think they're 4 teams that are better than us, and they're at least 5 points or more ahead of us already with less games. So they'll be in there. I think Blackburn, it depends on Brereton Diaz, whether he stays or not, but they're 12 points ahead of us. We're not catching that in 20 games, I don't think. So the only one I think will take over is QPR. They're on 44 points, 7 points ahead of us with a game less played. So we have to do 7 points more than them in 20 games to get in the playoffs. I think we'll struggle. So I think 7th or 8th and build again next year isn't a bad situation. And it's very hard for us to maintain the run of form we've had under Cooper for the other 20 games. So that's just my view of it.
You thought we could finish mid-table with Houghton.
Yeah.
So who's the one that's dreaming?
We all did when we had the players.
No, Jordan, I said the same. I said mid-table.
We delayed firing Houghton too much. That international window, those 2 games, I think will cost us this year. And we've been so poor at these kind of decisions in the past. And I think it was just too early for Dave Murphy to put his foot down in the hierarchy to sack Houghton then. And I think that's the challenge for us.
Jordan, there's quite a few people disagreeing with you, Jordan. And like I said, it's Jordan's opinion. People don't go at him. Jordan,
they might not be better than us, but they've all got 8 points more than us, right? That's the problem.
Timothy says, Jordan, no, Bournemouth, Fulham are the only 2 teams which are better than us.
But Derby and Fulham are going to go and beat all the others for us. That's what's going to happen. That's the irony of it. Derby will beat all the ones above us and that's 3 points done.
One from Charlie. Jordan started to make me think he's into a shoot. That's a bit harsh. No. I mean, no, Jordan's got Forest on the back, so people don't. Nah, come on.
Oh, mate, I'm not a Derby fan. I tell you that.
Jordan, have faith. We'll make the playoffs.
I hope so. Like, if I'm pleasantly surprised, I'm happy. I'm in the UK when the playoff final's on, so I'd be more than happy for us to make the playoffs and get into the final.
Jordan, I think you shouldn't be the ticket because of your attitude now. You've got to buy your ticket now.
The number one, Jordan is a classic double. No, he's not. Come on, people, don't go in there much more. Jordan's correct about timing of Houghton sacking though. So there is someone does agree with Jordan. Another one agrees with Jordan as well. Jordan makes sense. So it's 50-50, Jordan.
50 Marmite. It's a Marmite opinion, isn't it?
It's not a scientific poll. It's not a scientific poll. I would have said we should have sacked Houghton, last season, the end of last season, when he played knockout.
Yeah.
Okay. So the hour's up. But like I said, it's been another fantastic show. But like all people, like I said, if you are new to our channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I said, if no one knows, like I said, Des Do Daily got a YouTube channel. Des, before we go, talk about YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Again, Do Daily, people. Subscribe
to Do Daily because it's all positive vibes. Unlike Jordan,
I'm banned from his video already.
And I talk about them happening. No, it's just me. It's just me chatting about stuff, general life. I do a lot of running and walking and things like that. Just things that can make us feel a little bit better. Don't be scared into the fact. Use words like mental health. It's not a mental health channel. It's just ways of feeling good about what we do. Do what you love.
Yes. And as well, people, Matt, he does all this stuff. And he's like, if 100.5 people here, Matt may be this. And if anyone wants any stuff from Matt, tell everyone, what do you do? People might want it. I came
around and installed that at your place. But somehow I got into doing the artwork for these things. I've got a few at the City Ground. So I'm trying to do some new ones. I'm working on some Valentine's cards and trying to word them appropriately to incorporate fist pumps and things like this. But so that's what I'm working on at the moment. I think we're going to do one for Ryan Yates, saying I'm more passionate than Ryan Yates. What's not to love and all that kind of stuff. So, so I'm working on those at the moment. Look out for them next week.
What is love, eh?
And I apologise in advance to all the players involved.
And Jordan, like I said, I spoke to Jordan before we started. And how long have you been supporting Forest, Jordan?
Since I was a young kid. I posted a photo on Twitter this week of me with loads of players like Doig and everything else from the.
It was Chris Doig and who was the other one? Bernard Hello? I'm sure it was.
Balu, what's his name?
Bernard Hello.
And we don't know who the middle one is of the three. So if anyone...
I kept looking at it, thinking, who is it?
It's a real challenge, that one. So
Let me have a look.
So, been a Forest fan for the vast majority of my life.
All right, so that's Jordan. Like I said, Jordan is from Toronto, in Canada. So, Jordan, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, and I've got something to flog. Is Nottingham Forest, North America. So
right. Go on, Jordan. Talk about it, Jordan. Go on.
That's it. I run the supporters club over here in North America for the US and Canada and Bermuda and everything else like that. So loads of branches all over North America. Forest really is all over the world, and spreading the gospel of Garibaldi over this side. And Matt, I think you were used to be over here, and
I got a transfer because it was all too negative for me. But I had to come back. No, it's all elaborate tax dodge. He goes over to Bermuda twice a year to talk to sort of one Forest fan over there. Sort of, oh yes, 2 weeks in Bermuda on the beach talking about shooting, finishing midway up the table.
That's it. And shout out to the Toronto Trickies, obviously.
Shout out to Toronto Trickies, man. If there's anyone as well watching this, put in the comments before we go. Before we go, there's people, like I said, as everyone knows, it's Derby week. I've got a show on Thursday with Lisa Howard. I know you're watching Lisa Fox on Thursday. And on Friday, I'm not going to give too much. I've got a special guest as well on Friday. So I'm not going to give too much. I'm going to zip it. He's going to be the host. No, he's going to be a host. I'm in the back seat. I'm back seat. I'm going to bed. So I'll be the back seat for this. So I'll be on, but there is someone to be the host. So, but yeah, that's going to be fun. So that'll be on Friday as well. I might do something Wednesday as well. So see how I feel. But like I said, people, Jordan, thank you very much for coming on. Matt as well, Mr. Dude Daily. Go straight. Oh, what?
What, Matt, thank you. No, I just said thank you. It's just good manners. That's just thank you very much.
Wait! Before we go, did you treat McKellar good for my birthday?
Yeah, I couldn't make out that emoji that you sent. Anything similar to that, I used. So, she had an all right birthday. Mainly thanks to Lewis Grabban than myself, I have to admit. But there you are.
No, it was a purse. The emoji was a purse.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah, it was
okay. I better review that. Okay,
it was a purse. It was a purse.
Wow.
Because I know you're tight with your money and all that, Matt. But it's all that.
What money?
But yeah, people.
You don't know my son. He's the worst.
People, thank you very much for 121 people here. But I'll be here back Thursday, Friday, and I think it's going to be a massive week for us as well. But people, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully it's going to be a massive week and a big win for Forest. Peace and love. Up the Reds.
Nailed on. You Reds.